All right, we're doing it live again. So it may be getting close to Thanksgiving, but this shop never closes early. So I got this in the other day, and I'll wait for some people to come in before we start chatting more here. Excuse me. Get my YouTube stuff up here. And let's see if we can get this going. So if you want a deal, this is a deal today. So this is on sale at Best Buy for $180, and you've got like 2 years of ink in the box. Or it's based on what they think 2 years would be. So take it for what it's worth. But they sent this to the channel for my review, and I'm prioritizing based on what's on sale. I have like a pile of stuff to review, so I'm getting to all of it. But this I thought I would do today, and maybe shoot this tomorrow morning before all the Thanksgiving stuff, because this is $179 right now. That's right, Trent. Fill and chill. And it's a tank printer. So I haven't unboxed it yet or even set it up, but my expectation is that the quality of the printing will be in line with a low-end printer insofar as print quality and speed. But from a cost perspective, this is actually a pretty good value, because it's not much more than a cartridge printer would cost you subsidized, and you've got a ton of ink that comes in the box. So let me say hello to some friends here. CM is here, Trent is here, Matthew Burden is here, and as Trent notes, fill and chill. That's exactly it. Reese is here, David Langley is here, Gurpreet Singh Sidhu is here. Hope I got the name correct. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And Christoph Howard is here. Yeah, Thanksgiving, you know what's great about Thanksgiving here in the US is that it's really, I'm holding a knife here as I send a nice message. It's a very, it's a holiday that just about everybody observes in their own way. You know, it's in many ways a secular holiday. It's not a religious holiday per se. So everybody has that common holiday. All right, so let's take a look and see what is in the box. We have some instructions here. Start here, unpack. All right, so we're going to do the smart panel method. There is a way in which you can do it without the mobile device, but I think, from the most part, people have smartphones these days. And if anything, the simpler method here will be the app approach. Now, as far as what we get in the box here, we have a bunch of ink bottles here. And these are the Epson 522. I already priced this out. These bottles cost $25 for the group. So from a cost perspective, that is very inexpensive. Carol Chalinsky is here. Hello there. And Kevin is here. He's working on his next news interviews at his workplace. So are you on the news today? I was on the news the other day, as a matter of fact, when I was down in Florida. Used to be the news would come to me, and now they zoom me in. Let's have our power cable. And let's pull the printer out here. Like most printers here, there's a ton of tape on it. I have to tell you one thing about printers is that the amount of mechanical engineering and basic packaging engineering that goes into these things. I mean, because this is not something you can automate as far as putting, like, somebody's job is to put these pieces of tape all over the place. And the role of the tape here is just to keep everything from flying out at you while you're out and about. Now, one thing I will say is that this does not seem to have eco-friendly packaging. There is plastic all over the place and styrofoam. So take that for what it's worth. But I am moving this up in the calendar just because it's on sale right now for 180 bucks at Best Buy. And I've been experimenting with a new affiliate platform, so there's a dynamic link in the description. And what I'm not sure about is whether or not it finds this overseas or not. So those of you outside the US, I'm not sure what you'll experience, but all right, so let's get all this tape off of here. Now, again, this is a tank printer, and tank printers typically are a little more affordable to operate. Now, if you are an infrequent printer, like I am, I print maybe one thing a day during the work week. My wife prints a little bit more, but I have found that laser printers, for me, make a lot of sense because they don't print a lot of color. This, of course, is a 4-color printer. And this is not a photo printer. It does have a flatbed scanner, as you can see, but no document feeder. But I found even the document feeder stuff is not all that fast. Now, the other fun thing about printer reviews for me is that these don't do very well initially on YouTube, and then over time, they do exceptionally well. Now, in the back here, is that a manual feed? Let's take a look. Yeah, it's got a manual feed in the back here. So you've got 2 paper, oh, maybe not. This might be the only feed, because this looks like an output tray here. Yeah, so it's only straight in. And normally this is where your ink cartridges would go, but this has no ink cartridges. It has ink bottles. And so we fill it up over here. And what I'm going to do is like a little time lapse of those things filling up. Prime is here. Good to see you. Yeah, it's a little chill, stream before the holidays. All right, we're going to get the ink out of here. So we've got, it's like Sesame Street kind of stuff. Yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. And together, that is CMYK, which are your 4 colors used in printing. Now, one of the things they have improved over the years on these printers is that the bottles are keyed, so you don't put the same bottles in the same way. Or you can't mix up. So it used to be you could put any color in any spot, but now they have this key. Let me show you the overhead so you can get a feel for that. So I'll zoom in a little bit if I can. So it may be hard to see, but like these are notched differently, so you can't put the wrong bottle in the wrong spot. So Kevin says, he was on the news in 2018 and 2019, 3 news anchors. So I'm guessing you must work retail and people are wondering, they're coming to talk about what's going on in the store? Or was it some other workplace-related interview? Yeah, I'm glad that a lot of stores are not opening on Thanksgiving. If I can zoom out a little bit here. What I'm going to try to do is capture like a time lapse of the ink filling up. So I probably should read the instructions here first. Okay. So we're going to, oh, they want you to plug it in first and then fill the tanks. And by the way, a very important piece of instructions here. Keep the ink bottles out of reach of children, and whatever you do, do not drink the ink. Seriously, it's in there. Do not drink the ink. And Prime says, I love the Amiibo series. The Amiibo series, yes. I think you must have had a autocorrect go on there. Yeah, they are a bit pricey, although these have been out, the Amiibos have been out for a while, and the older cameras still work with it. I got to play around a little bit more with it because I have an older camera in addition to the 4 other ones that I've got. So you might be able to get some secondhand, but it's cool. I'm really impressed with what the iPad is able to do. And I almost wonder, like, they could like sell that software as just like a production package because it's really quite efficient. And CF says the lawyers made them put that there. Yeah, probably true, isn't it? All right, so let's get the printer. So they want me to plug it in before we ink it up. Now in the back, there is, actually, let me check on the side here. So there is a USB port on the side, so you can plug it in directly into a computer. But it does not have a network port. Although it does, I think, have Wi-Fi. At least it must have that. Yeah, it's got Wi-Fi on the front here. All right, so what we're going to do is we have to load up this app called the Epson Smart Panel. And that is what it looks like. And so we have to power this on. And then I'm going to select this to select the product. And I don't know why they need to know where you're located, but apparently that's something they want to know. Just trying to see if I can do this without them knowing where I live. I don't like that. People wouldn't drink. These days, you never know. People are probably like, oh, it's liquid, I could drink it. Like this is the lemon flavor, this is the cherry flavor, and this one is blueberry, in case you're wondering. So Kevin works at a bus terminal in Lakeland, Florida. Oh, that's got to be a fun job. 19 years, congratulations. And you know what? I bet you that's a job where you get a lot of satisfaction because you're helping people get home, right? That's it's good to be in a position where you can actually help people, right? I've been fighting with an insurance company. Long story over my wife got into a minor, my wife's car was hit in a minor fender bender that has become an overly ridiculous process because the people that work for the insurance company just are so difficult. And what was really frustrating about this whole thing is that they exist solely to not resolve things the way they should. And believe it or not, I got into a fight. I'm going to do a video about it. I got into a fight with them over, and I kid you not, a $40 difference between a factory bumper for my wife's car, which I am still paying for, and the aftermarket fake bumper they wanted to put on the car. I kid you not. It went on for weeks. And they basically lied. Like they said, that, oh, the law requires them to use, like they came up with all these stupid reasons. I have it all documented. And what kills me is that I reported it to the state's regulatory agency, and they're not doing anything about it. I got them, like, basically they're trying to like trick people into not exercising their rights as a consumer. And it's just overly frustrating. So I'll do a video on it to talk about that. But that's an example of people that work for a company that look out for the company as opposed to the people that they're supposed to be serving, right? So HT, this is a point that I will probably discuss in the video about it all being app-based. Now, apparently there's a way to set it up without the app, but I think my gut is, you may disagree, but my gut is that most consumers will desire to set it up with their phone. That's what I've been seeing on some of the other stuff that I'm dealing with here. The problem, though, is that I can't find, oh, here's the location. Okay, so I gotta go into location services. So I didn't allow it to look for, so Apple's got a new setting here about one called precise location. You can turn that off. So I'm not gonna give them my precise location. I don't think they need to know that. All right, so let's hit next here. And then, yep, so that's perfect. So it's got, and I'm going to allow it just while using the app. Nope, you're not going to. Seriously, it won't work unless I give them my precise location. I'm really not happy with that. Like, what's the reason for needing to know my precise location? All right. Do I want to check and see if my product is supported? Yes, I would. I will say that the HP experience is a lot smoother. All right, let's get started. Continue. Now it wants to use Bluetooth. Okay. All right, we got Bluetooth here. Searching for the product. All right, there's our printer. Yes. And it's going to connect. All right, let's get ready for ink initialization. We will guide you step by step. I kind of like this chat thing. It's got a neat. All right, stay in front of the printer. Okay, so I can't go behind the printer. Do not taunt the printer whilst, oh, do not turn off the printer while turning it off. All right, sending information to the printer. Please wait. I'm waiting. You can now prepare the printer. Swipe the screen down. Let's start with the ink. Okay, so we got all that. All right, I think I can handle all this. What is this part? Oh, it's a cap. All right. Okay, so let's get the ink filled up. So is the tank a good deal? So I think if you're printing frequently, it is. And what I am almost positive what we will discover in this is that this printer is like the one you would get for 50 bucks, right? Like the ones that are heavily subsidized. And what interested me about this is that it is a lot less expensive than they used to be. So back a few years ago, this quality of printer would run you $400 or $500, $600 because of the ink that they included. So it's interesting. All right, so let's put this in here. And you just plop it in like so, I guess. Yeah, there it goes. It's filling up. I can hear it. Listen to it. Hang on. Hear it? It's filling up. I would say that you don't want to do this around children because this is ink. It ain't coming out of your clothes. And I'm going to put chats up in a few minutes. I'm going to grab the B-roll for later as it streams to YouTube here. All right, so it looks like we're almost filled. And I guess I have to stop at some point when it gets to like this point. So they don't want you to overfill it. And I have a little bit left in the bottle here. So what they want you to do is reseal the lid, and you can use the rest of the ink later. So I got a little bit left at the bottom, I think. All right, so now we'll do, so we got the black in there. And now we're going to do the yellow. And yeah, this is a lot cleaner, as Dennis Whipple says, a lot cleaner than those aftermarket, for sure. Yeah, this is like designed not to make a mess. In the early days of this product, it was not as clean. It was all over the place before. There goes the yellow. It kind of reminds me of when I used to feed my daughters a bottle. You can watch the stuff go draining out of the... But one of the things I like about it is that you can see exactly how much ink you have left, right? Because it's got a window into it. So Ash has an EcoTank printer from March 2015, first black ink refill at the end of 2019. It probably cost you, what, like $5? If that? All right, looks like it. Actually, you know what it looks like it does? There's a little bit left at the bottom here. It looks like it will stop filling when it hits the end of the bottle. All right, we'll close that one up, and we'll open up the next one. And this is the magenta. And Heffen is here. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad that, yeah, my old reviews are still relevant, aren't they? I like how evergreen my content turns out to be. And I agree with CF and Ash about laser versus ink. Laser is definitely my preference because I don't print all that often and I mostly print black and white. Yeah, it looks more orange than yellow. I think it's just the density of the ink. All right, we're almost done with the magenta here. All right. Yeah, so there's always a little bit left at the bottom here. So you can see it sloshing around there a little bit. And we'll close that up. And we'll open up the last one here. And then we'll do the cyan, otherwise known as blue. So Stan wants to know the printing cost compared to laser. I think it's going to, it all varies a lot based on the coverage that you do on the page. This printer, I would imagine, is much less expensive than laser because the full ink load for several thousand pages is about $25. So these 4 bottles cost $25, as opposed to what you would pay for a couple hundred pages with a cartridge that would run you a lot more. So there's not as much of a subsidy on these. But you definitely don't want to get this ink on you. This stuff, it's like worse than food coloring. All right, so, oops, I got to close that up there. All right, so now the ink is loaded. So I'll go back to my app here. All right, continue the procedure with the smartphone. Okay, so next, sending information to the printer. And it's communicating over Bluetooth here, by the way. And I would say, this is probably the way to set it up, is with the phone. All right, you can now prepare the printer. We did all this already. Okay, when you're done, I check that. Are the tanks filled? Yes. Did that. If all the tanks are filled before you continue to make damage to the printer, are all the tanks filled with ink? Like, are you sure they're filled with ink? Yes, they're filled with ink. Let's start ink initialization. Preparing to initialize ink. All right, so now it is doing its thing. And then I'll take some, it's pretty noisy, as you can hear. While that's going, let me take a few questions here, because Trent had a good one. I'm just going to put my phone on D&D here. So to Trent's question, yeah, so the old printers did not have a way of preventing you from putting the ink in the wrong hole. But it's going to be hard to demo this. I may have to do a shot later. But these bottles are keyed. So you see how they look different at the top? So because they're physically keyed, it won't let you easily put the bottle in the wrong color. So they've keyed the bottles by color as a safety measure. But it doesn't mean some kid couldn't figure out a way to circumvent that problem there. So, all right, so this is going to take, wow, it's going to take about 11 minutes for it to initialize. To receive a completion notice, so I have to allow it to send me notifications. Do not turn the power off while the ink is initializing. Oh, so we can do the Wi-Fi while this is going. Okay, so let me hit continue here. Connect the printer to Wi-Fi, yes. And I'm betting you it's going to fail here because I have a different Wi-Fi name for my 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and I'm imagining that's what it's going to use here. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see, I've got a bunch of questions here. So here's we have to find out the answer to this question. Many of these eco inkjets have built-in obsolescence by having a non-replaceable sponge. Yeah, so on a regular cartridge-based printer, you replace the head, the print head, and all the other consumable items when you swap out the cartridge. Here, as noted, you're just swapping the ink. So I would imagine there's probably some quality degradation. I need to look into that. All right, so now here's the next problem. So my network here is, how I set it up is bizarre. So I keep my networks bifurcated by 2.4 and 5. So what we're going to have to do is select the network manually, which doesn't look like it's too hard here because it's got a list of networks here already. So I'm going to say yes. And do you want to use the network? Yes. Oh, you know what? Shoot, I want to go back. I don't want to do that network. Hang on a second. Do you want to use, no, hang on a second. Select different network, yes. No. Change the SSID and connect. Change, no. Yes. Okay, checking in. So I screwed this up, so I got to wait a second for it to. So now, because I screwed this up, now I got to wait the whole duration here. So the way I set up my network is I have my 5 gigahertz on one SSID and my 2.4 on another. So a lot of folks just mix the two together, but I like to keep everything separate. So I'm just looking through some of the things here. Isn't going to be printing with purging and unclogging. Yeah, that's my problem with inkjet printers, is that because I print color so infrequently, whenever I walk up to the printer, it is never ready. And it doesn't matter what brand it is, they all have the same problem. So, yeah. And by the way, it's consumed a good amount of ink already just priming itself. So these were all filled. Look at the black level. It used up like almost a quarter of a tank. Yeah. So you know what I might do is I might retop it off after it's done. But it's definitely sucked down a good amount of ink just to prime the pump here. And I'll tell you what, it is pretty, I'm going to make a note of this. It is pretty darn noisy. But as far as the ink is concerned, there is enough left in each of these bottles, I think, to top it back off again. So we'll probably do that when it's ready here. But I gotta tell you, I kind of dig this process of presenting the setup instructions like a chat. I think that's pretty clever. It would be even more clever if there was somebody like that would be like a human being that would answer you if you had trouble, like in the same interface. That would be kind of neat. So I got to give him some credit for that. As far as paper is concerned, let me pull up my spec sheet here, and I will tell you specifications. It's got a 2-year warranty, by the way, also. Paper handling. So this will support 8.5 by, oh, this is interesting. 8.5 by 47.2. So in other words, 8.5 by 47 inches long. You can print out a banner if you wanted to. But generally legal A4, letter, executive, half letter, and A6. So legal size would be the most. It does not look like it supports automatic duplexing. So if you want to flip over if you want to print on two sides, you got to flip it over yourself. So this is bare bones printing right here, but it's cheap. And we got another 4 minutes left here on the clock before it's done priming itself. So let that kind of sit there and do whatever it's doing. Yeah, I'm surprised too, because I can't even tell the color here. It's just like, even like I could shine a light on it and it would still look the same. Let me put some light on it here. Yeah, you can't really even tell what color it is. I mean, granted, it tells you up here, but it's so opaque you can't even tell the color of the ink inside. So yeah, we have 3 minutes and 33 seconds left before it is done with whatever it is that it's doing. But we will let that roll. What would you all like to talk about? Oh, CF has a good comment. Yeah, you're the second person this week that has complimented me on the color of my phone. I really like this purple. When I bought it, I was like, I want to find I want to get a different color this time. And you know what's nice too? It's hard to see, but the band on the side is also purple. It's got a purple hue to it. It's so nice that I don't even put it in a case. I just like looking at it. It looks so beautiful. And you know what's funny is like the best quality video from an exposure standpoint that I got from the NASA launch was with my iPhone. I was holding it, just pointing it at the rocket. I was like, this will be my backup shot, and it turned out to be the best shot I had of the day. It is so good, the computational photography video stuff that it does. You know, it was able to properly expose the rocket and its plume. The plume is like as bright as the sun when it takes off. It's like 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature. But it did a great job with that. And if you haven't watched my coverage of the NASA Artemis launch, please do. Lon.TV/space. It was a labor of love, to say the least. Well, I got some new features on here too. Here, you can check it out at Lon.TV/space. It was a lot of fun doing that. I always like going down to the NASA launches. And HT says, so I didn't compliment on the color of the phone. I would have if it wasn't an Apple product. Yeah, you got to give them credit though. I mean, this is a cool color. And you know what's neat about it is like I got like the Microsoft Surface Laptop Go that I have. It's supposed to be green, but it looks silver in most light. This really looks like purple. It's got just such a neat hue to it. And people ask, what about your case? I have Apple Care. And apparently now it's unlimited repairs now, I think, on it if you drop it. So there you go. So yeah, what I ended up doing, it worked out pretty well. So we didn't have to get there until later in that afternoon. So the first two attempts, I'm trying to remember the first two were going to be in the early afternoon. And they wanted us on site at like 5 a.m. was when they wanted us there. So it was like, you got to get up early and schlep over. So I did get a good night's sleep the night before. And we got there in the morning just to set up and get our credentials and stuff. And then I went back to the hotel for a little bit. And then we went back over, I think around 3 or 4 p.m. And then we decided to wait. And it didn't go until just after 2 in the morning, I think was when it finally took off. So it was Yeah, I was a little tired after that, but it's also when you watch a rocket launch in front of you, it's pretty exhilarating. So it was hard to get back to sleep after that. All right, it tells me the printer is ready, but all right, so now let's keep going through the process here. All right, so I got to go load some paper. So let me go get my paper out. Ugh. I'm getting too old for this. I'm getting too old to get out of a chair. So the good thing is I bought some paper recently. It's funny how much paper we burn through when we do printer reviews. I do recycle all of it. Well, I should say I put it in the recycling bin and assume that it gets recycled. I don't know what happens after I do that, but all right, so we're going to put this, or should I say papel? Is that, what was that, Spanish is papel? Or is that French? I don't know. Okay, so we're going to load the paper in the top here. All right. And what is next on our, hit next. Do you want to connect a computer to your printer? I will do that later. Okay, next. I don't think I ever got to, oh, here we go. No, all right, so now we got to go through the Wi-Fi. Oh, shoot. So this is all on me, but if you screw up the Wi-Fi setup, you have to like start over from the beginning. Jeez. All right, so let's try this again here. Papel is Portuguese. How about that? By the way, I'm hiding down here because my kids didn't have school today because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And they have a bunch of friends over upstairs, and it's super noisy. So I'm hiding down here until everybody goes home. And Ash is looking at buying the work. Yeah, so I guess the Workforce is their home office related product line, right? And Connor Lavoie is here. Hello there. Ooh, Samsung's got a 5.7-inch phone. I have a cousin in Tokyo. I should have him get one of those phones for me. Yeah, I'm eager to play around with the scanner here and see how that does, Zhao. And hello there from Chile. Welcome. Yeah, we're just testing out a printer here. So what I'm going to do now is select the network I intended to connect to initially. And now it's passing along that SSID. All right, I know how to put the password in. Okay, I know that. Oh, geez, look at this look at this keyboard that it puts up. I kid you not. Like, why reinvent the keyboard? Really? All right. All right. Okay. And then, of course, it puts your password in the clear on the screen here. Okay, so now the printer is connecting to the Wi-Fi, hopefully. So it doesn't work on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It has to connect to 2.4. And my kids are in this winter concert coming up at the end of the month. And the entire school is singing this song. All the older kids are, but the younger kids have picked it up from the older kids. It's just funny. All right, let's hit allow here. Now, hopefully this supports AirPrint and Chromebooks and all that kind of stuff, so we'll have to look at all that as well. Now, what should happen here in a minute is once this thing gets on my Wi-Fi, I will likely see my production computer detected as a printer also. All right, there we go. The latest, oh, here we go with the firmware, everybody. The latest firmware is available. And I'll tell you what, on your printers, you don't want to mess around with the firmware. You definitely want to get your firmware installed. I thought that was Spanish too, papel. Do I watch football? I do not watch football. In fact, I don't watch American football or soccer, as we call it here in the US, but I have a lot of friends that are into it. But I should watch, maybe I'll watch something this weekend, we'll see. It's a big weekend for American football too, although I watch the Super Bowl and sometimes the playoff stuff. But and Ash said there was no school in Saudi Arabia because they really they give you a day off from school because see, you know what's funny is that we are, you know, Americans are huge sports fans, but nothing will get you a day off from school unless there's a snowstorm. That's about it. That's awesome. Crab Donkey, can you set up? Yeah, you could probably set it up with an iPad. I think the app works on both. Jolt Dude is here. Tech Yoda is here. Welcome, Tech Yoda. And Christopher says, yeah, I still see a lot of 2.4 stuff, a lot of the IoT devices. And, in fairness, the 2.4 gets much better range than the 5 does. So I could see why there would be a preference for that, because you'll get a 2.4 connection. And for a printer, you don't need anything spectacularly fast. All right, so now what I want to do, let me check I got to connect my video up again here. What I want to do is print something out from my computer. Yeah, it looks like it survived the firmware update, I think. It is back on again. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do some print samples here. Boy, they're making a ton of noise upstairs. I have family members that enjoy getting my children loud things and like microphones and karaoke machines. So all of that stuff is currently being used upstairs by my kids and their friends. So Giles says in Brazil, everybody stops to watch the game. Wow. Yeah, it's not like that here. Even like for anything, really. Not at all. In fact, you get in trouble in school if you were watching anything during the day. I'm sure people sneak it, but what is big around here though is March Madness basketball. I would say out of all the sporting events that can interrupt a day, that's the big one. Because a lot of people have like, they do betting pools and stuff. But yeah, people, I have friends that are really into we call football, we call it soccer here. So they're certainly glued to it, and I will test. Yes, I will definitely test some photo. I always like to look at photo printing. I would not say this is a photo printer, because this is kind of low-end basic transportation, but it will do photo prints. So what we're going to do now, let me just see if my Mac can detect it here. So let's do mirror the built-in display here. And give me a second, I'll pull up my screen and we'll see if it finds it. Wow, they're really going at it. I can hear my daughter like on her microphone, top of her lungs. All right, let me go and pull up my computer here. We'll go to my printer settings. And all right, so we've got right now, I'll zoom in on it here for you. I'm going to go here and see if it detects it. And it did, right here. And this is the Mac. And I'm going to have it just auto-select the driver. I'm curious how that's going to work. Generally, this is how see, interesting. So on the Mac, it looks like I'm going to have to download drivers for that. So let me go and look at my Windows computer now. I'm just going to do it from my production computer here. I'm just curious if it's going to need drivers on this side. So on the Windows side, here, I'll do a test page. All right, so I'm going to print a test page from my Windows computer. So this is coming off the Windows computer now. So it's kind of a bummer the Mac just didn't pull it up right away. It's not all that fast either. It's like 10 pages per minute at like, or 7 pages per minute, even at the low quality. I got to tell you, the Windows test pages are very uninspired. You used to get a nice color Windows logo up there, and now you get this. So, looks okay. It definitely has some very visible, you know, what it does is it does like a, you know, it does dots to mix the colors together. Because remember, you have CMYK, and you have to mix the colors to get the color you're looking for. And in this case, this blue obviously is not a pure cyan, so it's mixing a few other things to get to that color. And I definitely see some dots in there. And that's with my 46-year-old eyes here. But I'm kind of bummed that it doesn't have drivers for the Mac. So if I go to Auto Select, it doesn't know what to do with it. So we're going to have to go and download drivers from the Epson website. Let's see here. Yeah, you know, Curtis, this is a good, I would say it's going to, you know, it really depends on the amount of coverage. But all that said, $25 for, I can't see Instant Ink being less expensive than this, because these 4 bottles, which will get you a few thousand pages, is $25. And that's retail, so you could probably get a better deal somewhere else. So I think if you're doing a high volume of printing, this is probably the better deal, depending on how long it lasts, right? So Chris makes a good point, though, about the 2.4 in an urban environment, that it's so saturated. That's a good point. I live in the middle of nowhere, so I'm like the only game in town. I get great Wi-Fi here. Does it support AirPrint? I believe it does on the iPhone, so let's try that out real quick. Can I print a test page? Print documents? Let's see. All right, you know what I'll do here is I'll print out. Just trying to find something I can print real quick. Oops. This will be a black and white image. Here, I'll print out the, I'm going to print out my agenda from my last Board of Education meeting. Let's do that. It's 4 pages. Oh, we want to see if it does AirPrint. So let me do it this way. So I'm going to pull up Pages. So I have Pages on my iPhone. And I'm going to pull, that's a tabloid version, hang on. That's too big. So I have a bunch of documents that I use for these purposes, just kind of loaded into Pages. So this is a tabloid format, that's much bigger. So let me go to the smaller one here. Oops. Oh, I thought I had that saved, I guess I don't. Okay, so let's do a new one here. I'm just going to do the school newsletter template. So this is what it looks like. So let's go and print that. I think, how do you print on this thing? I hit this. So I'm going to just go to print. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, it doesn't show up as an AirPrint printer. So let's dig in here and see if there's more configuration to be had. But that's a big letdown. Yeah, no Ethernet on this one, so Wi-Fi is it. I heard good things about Brother, so we need to start looking at those again. I found with the Brothers that get, you know, high volume they haven't been great, but I think for occasional printing they probably do fine. Let's see here. So this was on Windows 10 that I tested earlier. And Greg says, Epson has the drivers on the Mac side for 10.15, and I'm on 12.6.1. And James is on, yeah, I'm with you, man, on the laser printers. So this does not appear to have an alignment that it runs initially, although I would imagine we can do that. Let me go back in and see. I'm surprised it doesn't support AirPrint. That's really intriguing. So I can print from this app here, but I can't print from like Pages, for example. All right, let's see here. Document capture. Yeah, I don't even see a way to configure the darn thing. So you know what I'm going to try to do is figure out what its IP address is. And I bet you there's like a web-based control panel. So let's see if we can find that and jump into it. Does the ink run when the paper gets wet? I would imagine it's going to be the same as most other printers do. So to some degree, I'm sure there's going to be some of that. And I will look at that also as I'm getting going here. Let me just go, I'm just got to log back into my router because it logged me out. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's take a look here and go to wireless. And we're on my U6 here, I'd imagine. And clients are 8. So Epson, here it is. 192.168.2.45. All right, here we go. Okay, so here, let me pull this up here and give you a look at what I'm looking at. And I'm just going to D&D my computer here. Okay. All right, so let's go pull up our computer screen. So I think we're fine on the firmware. Doesn't let me push any of these buttons anyhow. You gotta be kidding me. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. I don't even know what the password is. All right, so let me need to find the Epson admin password. So it says access. Nope. It says access is the default password, but it doesn't seem to work. It's recommended to communicate via HTTPS. Huh. All right, let's see if I can discern anything else from here. So product network status, usage status. This is all just basic stuff here. So I wonder if there is an option. Yeah, it doesn't look like it even has an option for AirPrint. So that might explain why the Mac drivers are so problematic here. And Colin says I should try. Okay, I'll give it a shot. You know what I'll do? I will go run it under some water right now. So what I'll do is I'll wet my finger here, and then we'll get the page kind of wet. All right, so I just smudged some water on the page. And I mean, it's a little smudgy, but it's not runny. Now, if you can see that. So it looks a little smudgy right there, but that's about it. So it's not something I would. Okay, we're back. All right. Yeah, I'm surprised it doesn't have AirPrint, which makes the Mac connectivity more complicated. So the price on the printer, and I got a link in the video description, and I'm beginning to see why it's so inexpensive. It is $179, which I think actually is a good deal for a tank printer. No question about it. But that comes with some complexities. Now, Windows work fine. It got up and running no problem. But on the Mac, I'm going to have to download drivers. So let me grab those drivers right now. But what this means is that unless you have the document available, you can't print from your phone. Right? So that's an issue. So if I go in, I'm just in, like, for example, in my email application. So on Gmail, I can print out an email here, but I can't print to this printer because it's not showing up as an available. So I just printed out like some random email here, and I have the Lexmark and the Brother, but I don't have this printer available. And it's on the same network because this computer found it, and actually this computer sees it too. Yeah, you can set your watch to the YouTube 55-minute problem. And for those of you that are not aware, once I started streaming in 4K, because I can, once I started doing that, it stopped. Yeah, and what was funny was YouTube seemed really eager to fix the bug. Like, they were emailing me constantly, like, we're sorry it's taking so long. We know there's a problem. And now I think they just gave up on it. Likely because there's not many people that stream at 4K. But like I said, I do it because I can. But also the reason why I do it is because of the fact that I get good B-roll out of it. I'm looking for drivers, and all right, so I am on Mac OS 12 right now, Monterey. So I'm going to select those drivers on their website. But it's just like, really? It reminds me of like the old days where you had to go out and find your drivers. Like, what's up with that? It used to be a lot simpler. And I'm guessing now it's going to install, yeah. So here's the other problem. Now, like, I've got this installer. This is on the Mac. I got this installer that it wants to run. So what's this going to do? And then, is this going to sit resident in my computer, right? Like, and have some thing up on the top of the screen? Yeah, so here we go. We're getting the helper now. Do I really want the helper? I don't want a helper. I just want to print. Let me see what it's going to do here. I finished all that, yes. So now I'm going to have this memory resident helper that I don't want. That's going to sit there and run all the time. And then here's all the stuff that it will install for me. I don't want any of this. Although I think what I'm going to do, I don't want that. I don't need this. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I think I might have it install the administrator software because I just want to see if there's some options that I can configure. Yeah, I have no desire to use the printer over the internet. The software uninstalls Epson applications. Okay, I want to have that on there so I can get rid of it. All right, I'm game for those things. But really, like, this feels like ancient history here, like to have to install all this crap. All right, so we're downloading the driver, installing the printer driver. Yeah, I despise memory resident software that I only want things to run when I need it to run. I don't know about you all, but that's my thing. And Sam Lazar is joining us from Down Under, has had to do the same thing on his Mac. Epson bloatware. And Greg says it works great. I'm surprised it works as well as it does. I'm streaming out at 30 megabits per second, which, by the way, is a small fraction of my available upstream bandwidth. but it looks great. I think it even looks better at lower resolutions because you've got that resolution to play with. All right. Yeah, generally what happens when it drops is that it reconnects pretty quickly. And you have to do it quick because if you don't, you're SOL. All right. Oh boy, gosh. Okay, so now I've got to add the printer. And now it should see the printer. So let's go back to our add printer dialog here. So I'm going to click this. And now it's, well, I saw it before. So it does show up on Bonjour, but before it was not finding the drivers. And now it's got them because we installed all that software. All right, there we go. So now our printer is available. And I can print a test page. Okay. But what this means now is that for every Mac in the house, I got to, so if my wife wants to print it, I got to install this crap software on her thing. And there is memory resident software, and I can guarantee you that it's not optimized for the ARM chip either. Let's take a look. All right, so here's our test page. It is more colorful than the Windows one, at least. That is light up there. All right, so now, yeah, so, oh, it's the installation software. Okay, so let me go next and just finish this real quick. All right, and then it wants me to register the printer with them. So I guess if you register your printer, you get an extra year of warranty on it, or the 2-year warranty. But I'm going to skip that. Okay, so the printer is done. So let's see what piece of software remains. Hopefully it calls itself Epson so I can identify it. I don't see it on here, so, but I'm going to look for, yeah, like I said, I just don't like things that are, yeah, it looks like it didn't install anything that's memory resident. So it looks like it was just the drivers. However, if I didn't uncheck all that stuff, it would have. All right, so now, why don't we go and load up Pages. But this is going to be, the bummer here is that I'm not going to be able to recommend this for iPad users because although you could create a PDF and save it to your thing, and that's too many steps. Like it should just be print, right? Like you do on the computer. So here is a little test document that we're going to print out. And I'm just going to run this in color at the default here. And let's see how it does. So I'm not changing any options. I'm just going to run it. And let's see how long that takes to come out. It's not bad from a speed standpoint for what it, for the cost here, I guess. But the photos don't look great on this. And granted, I'm using pretty crappy paper too, so that's part of it. So I'll grab the photo paper and try that real quick too. And I'm going to turn down my camera's exposure a little bit so I can get this kind of close to what I'm seeing. Yeah, it looks a little better. Oops, oh, almost spilled my ink. Doesn't look bad. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to label this real quick. So this is the standard one. And now I'm going to run that front page again. I'm going to run in the higher quality mode. So what we're going to do, and I'll show you what I'm working on here. So I'm going to go back here. And instead of I'm going to select quality this time. And I'm just going to do page 1. And let's see how that looks. But you can see the color definition on the screen here versus what you get. And that's pretty, that view is pretty close to what I see with my eyes. And you'll also note it got a little bit of ink here. I don't know where that came from. But that's what is on the screen, and that's what we get. It's a lot lighter. So let's see what the higher quality example here will give us. Yes, it does have a pull-out tray. So you can do that. Yeah, so I mean, this one I would say, you know, if you're on a tight budget and you don't want to spend a lot of money on ink, this is going to be, I think this is going to last you a long time in the sense that as long as it keeps functioning, the ink is going to be a marginal cost, and it's very inexpensive to get into it. So I would say exactly, it's not too terrible. Yeah, and they do have an app that lets you print, but for example, I have to, so if I'm working on a document in Pages, I have to get that document over to the Epson app. Let me try that real quick. Excuse me. So I wonder if I could do, so if I share this, is Epson one of my options? It is not. Okay, here's an option here. Okay, so I could do, here, I'll show you what I see here. Here's Epson Smart Panel. Oops, wrong one. Not that one, not that one. Let me try it again. Hang on. Because I can't print it the way you would normally print it. So I'm going to select Epson Smart Panel. The file cannot be displayed or printed because it's in a format that's not supported by this function. So that's what you're going to see a lot of the time, I think, is that it's not coming in as a PDF, so it's not converting it first. All right, so here is, actually that looks a little better. So we're getting a little more, it's a little darker, a little more definition. It obviously uses more ink, but it's a lot closer to the screen. So, I mean, it's not bad. You know, for the price point, I think it's pretty good. I mean, for a kid's report, like a family printer kind of thing, I think that looks pretty good. And you're not getting metered like you would with one of the subscription things there. What is the Flipper Zero? I got to look that up now. Portable ooh. What does it do? Look at that thing. What? What is this thing? The Flipper Zero. I don't know what it is, but I want it. Micro SD card, wrist strap hole, sub 1 gigahertz transceiver. Oh my goodness. It can like listen to things? Oh my goodness. Yeah, dude. All right, how much is this? I want one right now. Flipper Zero, multi-device tool for geeks. It's a little pricey. I want to hear what you're going to do with it, James, as a fellow amateur operator. Oh, that's awesome. All right, you have to give me some ideas as to what I can do with it. All right, so there you go. So not the most ideal scenario here, but it looks as though I don't have anything resonant on my Mac that I would be upset about, that I'm aware of. Granted, there's a lot of things running on my computer currently that I'm not sure what they do. I just don't see anything named Epson. All right, cool. All right, so that's that. Oh, photo printing. Let me go get my photo paper, and we'll print a photo, which may become more complicated because of the AirPrint issue, but I think the app might be our friend in that regard. I may lose you for a second when I go into my back room here, so I'll be right back if you lose audio. Now, the other question is, will it print borderless? And that we shall find out as well. Ooh, someone thought they could, oh, that'd be awesome. If you could receive packet radio on that, that'd be wicked cool. It doesn't, now it can transmit, but I'm guessing not at a high power, right? All right, so this is some glossy paper designed for inkjet printers. This is Canon branded, but it's all the same stuff. All right, so we're going to put that in face up, or as we used to say, emulsion side up. All right, so we got that in there. So now I'm going to do this from my phone. Where did I put my phone? Here it is. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my phone here, and I'm going to go over to the Epson app that I was in. All right, so let's do print photos. All right, Epson would like to access your photos. Okay, so I'll give you access to that. And let's take some recent ones here. Oh, how about we do this one? This is a great one. This is me in my happy place. Just going to load that up. All right, how about that? So that's the photo we're going to print. If I hit the gear icon here. So it knows that I have 4x6 paper on already. And we got glossy. It does borderless printing. Can I go higher than high? No. I can change that one, but I can't go higher than high. So that's it. Okay. All right, let's print it. Ready? The good news is there's no ink penalty here, right? Because we got a big tank full of ink. All right, we're printing. So I'm curious, I'm not like trying to trick you into clicking things. I'm just curious where it sends you if you click the link in the description. Because I just started up with this new affiliate thing called Howl. And apparently this link that they've put in, that I'm setting up here, will direct you to the lowest price that has stock for your region. So it's apparently a smart redirection tool. All right, still printing, taking a while, which is to be expected. Now, I don't expect this to be as good as it would be with, you know, than it would be with a, whatchamacallit, 6-color photo printer kind of thing, but it should be adequate enough. Okay, yeah, that's what it seems to be, 180 bucks, yeah. You know, I do think the price is right, despite all the aggravation that I'm, you know, with the Mac and the iPhone. It's almost done. But I got to tell you, like when you cover the NASA launches as a member of the media, You just roll on up. You don't have to get on a, if you're international press, you have to get on a bus. But the Americans, they allow you just to drive on in. And it's kind of neat. You just pull up to the guard and hand them your credentials and welcome to NASA. You drive right in. All right, so let's take a look. You know, it's not bad. I mean, for a non-photo printer, I will say the image is a little on the grainy side. But, you know, I'm seeing some imperfections here, but those are actually in the photo itself. So that's not bad. Let me try another one. Let's see what else I got in here on my repertoire. We'll do one more, maybe one with like a little more of a darker scene. But I mean, if you were printing out a photo to hang up on the wall or something, I mean, you know what I mean? Like from that standpoint, it's not bad. Again, a little on the grainy side. It's not going to rival a photo printer. Let me see what else I got in here that might work. Here, I got this. This will be actually, this is what I want to do. We'll do this one. This one's a little darker. This is my daughter Ellie. So this has got a little more of a darker background. This is when I took the kids to New York City. She loved it. She is a city girl. She's actually, I think she's going to be an attorney when she gets older. She's got a very strong sense of justice. Not even like the usual kid stuff, like it's not fair that this one does that. Like it's funny. She's good. All right, Crab Donkey wants more color, so we'll find one with more colors too. This has a little more color than the last one, but we'll do one more after this. Will it work with Chromebook? I will check on that. I have a Chromebook upstairs. Actually, I've got one down here, don't I? I do, as a matter of fact. Actually, let me go get that Chromebook. Hang on a second. Because that was my other project I wanted to start working on, was the gaming Chromebook. So we'll do the Chromebook also. Ha! Yeah, the terms of service from the thing. They gave her back to me. She was questioning all the items there. Yeah, this kid, like, it was funny. She'd never been to the city before. I mean, not even like, you know what I mean? Like, it was her first visit to a city. And she was just right at home. It was really fun. She enjoyed it. She loved every minute of it. Both of my kids did. And the best part was, you know, there's a lot of crazy people in New York City. So my daughters also got to see somebody screaming randomly in the street, which is like par for the course in New York, right? I was like, here, you get to see your first New York crazy person too. The guy was just like screaming at the top of his lungs in Italian, no less. Couldn't even understand what he was screaming about. And they got such a kick out of it because like everyone's just ignoring him, walking by, like, yeah, whatever, another day in New York. So that photo was taken with my iPhone 13 in portrait mode. It's amazing how good these cameras are in these smartphones. It's crazy good. It does take its time, for sure. There we go. I gotta tell you, I'm not displeased. That is very close. I mean, you know, if you look closely, you'll see some graininess, but I mean, if I put that in a frame and gave it to my mother, she'd be like, "Oh, it's awesome. That's a beautiful picture of her." You know what I mean? Like it would be. It looks good. You know, I'll have to say I've always been. I've had Epson printers over the years. I remember buying one in the late '90s and being really impressed with its photo printout capability. But it looks pretty good. I'll give you a closer look at the comparative here. So obviously there's more contrast on the phone. So if you had like a photo printer that has some of those variations in inks, you'll get a little more contrast. But I mean, you know, for a cheap printer, it's pretty good. Paper makes a big difference too. You know, having the right paper for the job. All right, let me go get my the Chromebook that I was going to start working on. This is the Lenovo, somewhere in this mess of stuff I have here. I have so much stuff to review, it's not even funny. So I did get in the Lenovo gaming Chromebook. And so I was meaning to set it up, so I may as well get it set up now. We'll see if it can print on there. Let me just get this box open real quick. This was after the printer, this was my next item on my list of things to do this week. So they taped up the box better than usual here. So let me get this unboxed real quick. I have no room on the desk for the Chromebook, but we will make do. So this is always the good question: is which is the correct color, right? I don't know. All I know is that I prefer the way it looks on the phone to what we got out of the printer, right? So, you know, from my eyes, I see more contrast on the phone, and it looks like maybe the color temperature is slightly different there too. But again, you're dealing with how Apple interprets what the screen should look. I mean, it's so complicated now, right? Like, nothing's easy, and most people just don't care. So I think like for most people, it's like, oh, it looks pretty good. Like that passes muster for mom, right? So who am I to judge? All right, so this should be. Yep, this is it. Toss this box over here for a second. This should be the Lenovo gaming Chromebook. And let's get it out of the box. I'm just going to run it on battery. This thing actually feels like a pretty beefy laptop. And Corey says, I love the EcoTank. They are so economical to use. I can't understand. Yeah, it's true. They make it once. And, you know, for a while, like, it made sense to me because they were selling them for, you know, you would get like the low-end printer and it would cost you several $100 for like a low-end device, right? And now this one is $179 today. Now that's the sale for today, but even some of their other ones are $300, right? So it's not crazy. All right, so this is the Lenovo gaming Chromebook, as you can see. And it's got a 16-inch display that runs at 120 hertz. And like a lot of these other gaming devices that we have looked at, it's a pretty nice display on it, to be honest with you. It's actually like the Logitech handheld we looked at recently. It is not designed to play games directly, but stream them. So that's kind of what they're after with this one. So bear with me here. I'm just going to set up my the Chromebook here with my Google Test account. Oops, wrong address. It feels pretty zippy. This has an i5 processor. So theoretically, this would, I think this is the gaming one, isn't it? Yeah. Theoretically, this would be halfway decent on its own. I don't think it's got the Evo graphics, so I'll have to check. But we'll get this set up and see if it can find the printer or not. I don't know on the RAM. Let me look and see if they sent me the specs on it. Ooh. Gaming Chromebook. Let's see. I'm looking for what she sent. Oh, she sent me the reviewer guide. Perfect. Okay, so let me look and see what we've got here. So this has an i3 1215U. So I don't think it has the Evo graphics. Let me go to the last page here where the specs are. Okay, so 8 gigabytes of RAM DDR4, 128 gigabytes eMMC, it's got 2 USB-C ports, full service. It's got an RGB keyboard, 4 zones. It's got nice travel to it also on the keys. All right. But for our purposes today, we are strictly going to be looking at its printing of stuff. Now they're playing Nirvana upstairs, which is actually kind of nice. I forgot that karaoke machine has a CD player in it, and I have my Nirvana Unplugged CD from college that I put in it. All right, so now the other thing, again, this is like off the topic of the printer, but it comes, it's not a touch screen either, by the way. You get a demo of Luna and GeForce Now, but of course not, whatchamacallit. All right, so let me go and see if we can get this printer working on here real quick. I'm hiding down here until they all go home. And John makes a very good point. That's why I stick mostly to laser, is that I just don't print all that frequently. I guess my current print volume would be okay, because I print about a page or two a day. Generally, when I have a review to do, I print something. All right, so let me go in to the Chromebook here. And it's doing all of its updates and everything. Let me look for the printers. This is a nice machine. Okay. All right, so the good news is, let me move these things out of the way here for a second. I'll give you another view here. I'm out of room on my desk, so we gotta improvise here. It does see the Epson printer here, so I'm going to click Setup. Oh, could not be configured automatically. Here you go. Well, let's see what happens. So I'm going to go select Epson. Is Epson even on the list? No. Oh, it is. Okay. Epson. And it's ET-2400. So there's a 2500. This, this reminds me so much of when I was a kid. Like you would pick the. I had like a printer that was Epson compatible, so you would pick the closest Epson model to the Panasonic that you had. So there is an ET-2500, but not a 2400. So I'm assuming that's going to be close, right? So let's add it and see what happens. I clicked add, and what happened? Nothing. Yeah. Nope. try it again. Let's see here, advanced printer configuration. ET-2400, which is what I have here. So let's go back. So I'm selecting Epson. It just keeps like bouncing me back here. No AirPrint, Chrome OS issues. So what does this mean for us? It's not configuring automatically. Now, the way these things used to work is they would work through that Google Cloud Print thing, but that's not done anymore. So let's go to the website again. So Epson ET-2400. I do like this display, though. I'll give you that. It's got it's nice and big, and it's got what's the resolution? It looks like it's higher than 1080p. Let's take a look at those specs again. So it's 2560 by 1600, 16 by 10, 120 hertz. It's a nice. It's probably one of the nicer Chromebook displays that I've seen. And Richard says, on iPhone, MacBook, and Windows, I had to install drivers. You talking about the Epson? Yeah, it looks like they didn't want to pay the fees for those drivers. So we're going to go to ET support here, Epson support. I mean, in the old days, you would assume that you would have to deal with this a little bit. But Chrome OS is not even on the list of supported drivers. And for that matter, no Linux either. So you're SOL on this one. So let me try one other thing here. ET-2400 Chrome OS. Yeah, so it looks like they have a whole separate section of printers for Chromebook, which is not the one that I have. See all printers for Chromebook. Yeah, so, oh, it is. It says it supports it. It's right here on the list. So ET-2400, that's what I got. But it doesn't work with this Chromebook. Support. So maybe I'll let this thing like update, and maybe that might rectify it. Let's see. So we go in and make sure this is up to date. Check for updates. Yeah, you may have to do that. Yeah, this is what I've been hearing from a lot of people, that the ink is really going to last a while. And it's not that expensive to replace the ink either, which is a good thing. So we got to let this update kind of run. So let me update this, and then after this is done, we'll call it a day. So we'll see what we end up with here. Yeah, you got to do the cups drivers. I bet you that's what we got to figure out on this thing. But from a consumer standpoint, are they going to figure that out, right? That's right, on Linux it'd be the cups, that's right. And James can make out the games on the shelf there. Yeah, I've got Paperboy for the NES, Skate or Die, Baseball, Super Mario 3. Got a bunch of Game Boy games up there too. some Sega Genesis. ColecoVision's down in the corner. Can you read those? Yeah, the 4K makes a big difference. Yeah, there's no auto duplexing on this. All right, so I'm gonna let the laptop update in the hopes that perhaps part of whatever its OS update will include support for this printer, but it is not looking promising. Please wait while we update, having flashbacks to Prodigy. And then Prodigy would bill you by the minute, right? So you were paying for the update time. So yeah. Well, hopefully everybody has some good plans for Thanksgiving. I'm going to my mom's house. And then I'm going to come back here. So I'll probably do some work in the morning. So I just want to get caught up. I always feel like I'm behind. So I did a video today detailing all the things in my remote production bag. So that'll be a fun one. And then I'm going to review the printer in the morning. And I'll probably get this one done tomorrow or the next day. And the big deal with this one, it's funny because they're marketing this as a gaming device, but it doesn't actually play the games directly. It's gonna play them over the cloud. So when you get going here, it's going to be under the perks for this particular machine here. So you can see you've got NVIDIA GeForce Now, 3 months, and 3 months of Luna. Probably should grab a screenshot of that. Let's do that real quick. All right. So it'll do 120 FPS up to 1440p on GeForce Now. And Amazon Luna, by the way, if you have a Prime account, they do have a free tier for Luna. I have not done the scanner, but I will do that offline, but I'll have it in the review. I've heard the scanner is not very good. I got to find something good to scan, like a photo or something. So, but we will touch on the scanner. All right, so let's restart this in the review because I am running out of time. All right, so let me log back into my enormous Chromebook here. It's got a 16-inch display, so it is big. The key travel is really nice on it, and they kind of geared this as a gaming device that doesn't actually play games directly, is kind of the deal. All right, so let's see if because it said on their website that this worked with it, but it did not seem to configure itself properly when we first attempted to do so. So let's go back to printers. All right, so I mean, it does see it on the network. So if I go to setup here, let's see if we fare better now. Nope, same thing. Cannot be configured automatically. Go to Epson. I could probably try to select a different one because ET-2400 is not even on the list. So let me try a different one. Let's try 2650. What the heck? I can't imagine the protocol being all that different. But like you hit add and it just drops you back to here. And what's a PPD? Postscript printer description. All right, so let's try to find that. So now what consumer is going to, with a Chromebook, is going to jump through that hoop, right? So this is the ET-2400. Yeah, right back to where I was before. Yep, don't work. Yep, you're one of us. So 2710. Okay, so let's try that. Let's see if that's on the list. The 2710. So the 2710 series. Now I'll click add. And nope, it just drops me right back to here. Now I could try to set it up manually maybe. Let's see. Yeah, no one's going to jump through these hoops. If you have a Chromebook, there is no way in heck you're doing any of this stuff. No way. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. It's weird because the Windows side was fine. The Mac was fine when we got the thing installed. Now, what's the cost on the Chromebook? Let me look that up real quick. Lenovo Gaming Chromebook. This is the 5i Gaming Chromebook. Wow, that's a good price. $399. I did not realize it was that inexpensive. Now, where is it sold? I will find a link for you all. Let's see. Whoa, it's $319 right now at Lenovo. If I'm looking at the right one. No, that's not the same one. This is like specifically a gaming Chromebook, but it's like $399 from what I read here. So that's a great deal. So as Chromebooks go, not bad. You know, just as a basic Chromebook, you've got the number pad, really nice display. It's not, you know, it's not small, but nice 16 by 10 display. We'll look at the webcam in a little bit with it too. So yeah, I'm gonna be busy tomorrow. It is Thanksgiving, but I got a few hours to kill in the morning. So yeah, so what I will do in the full review, I know some of you were curious about the scanner. What I'll do in the full review is I will definitely make sure we cover the scanner and its quality. This one is, though, only a flatbed scanner. So you don't get the auto document feeder. I'm sure there's a version that has the auto document feeder. So this will be suitable for scanning a photo one at a time or making a copy. And you've got buttons here to do that. But I do want to get a photo that I can scan on there so we can get a look at it. But yeah. PC load letter. Yeah, I had an HP printer. That's all it ever said to me was PC load letter. I do not have A4 paper, but we use letter paper here in the US. Does a Chromebook have a different privacy policy? I think it's probably the same, right? And John makes a very good point here also. They just release, you know, what they do is they release a new printer every year just for the sake of saying they have a new one. So I saw this for a while, like these printers were not changing one year to the next. They would change maybe some of the, you know, some of the design of it, but not all of it. Yeah, I guess you got a point there on the eMMC, but it's got a 16-inch display, so there you go, right? Have you seen my stapler? I have not. I haven't seen the bottom of my desk here in a while either, so I'm not going to help you with that. But you know what I am going to do, though? I'm going to top off these ink cartridges before we head out. So I've got a little bit left here. So let's fill up the rest of the, get rid of these. What's nice, too, is that these bottles don't empty until you put them on the thing. Yeah, it doesn't look like the rest of it comes out. Oh, that went in now. Oh, now it's leaking all over the place. Great. Ew. I shook it, and that was not the right thing to do. It didn't leak into the other inkwell there. So these seal up to probably prevent that from happening. But it did use a little bit of ink when it was priming, and then, of course, from the printing that we did. I'm just curious if it's going to take the rest of the bottle. So it's a lot, oh, see? Oh, so I almost did it. So that prevented a problem. So because it's keyed, it wouldn't let me pour the magenta into the yellow. So it worked as it was supposed to there. Yeah, it's taking the rest of it now. Yep, there it goes. Perfect. Now there's nothing left in the bottle. And what I'm replacing here is mostly what it was priming with initially. So it's basically topping it off. There we go. So Colin says, with the Epson scanning app, you can scan multiple. Oh, let's try that real quick. You know, we'll give it a shot while we're here. What I'm going to do is just scan what I already did. So maybe I'll put these two photos that we printed out onto the flatbed here and just see how that works. And maybe we'll put like part of the manual here too. So we have like 3 different things on there. Let's try that. So make sure I didn't miss any messages here. All right, so let me go over to the Epson Smart Scan thing here. All right, so let's go and I have the screen a little dark just because I was trying to show what the printout looked like. Now it doesn't look as though, let's see what happens. Because it's not giving me an option for, there it goes. Oh, that's from the camera on the phone, okay. Oh, I see. So it's right. It's going to do the pre-scan, and then it's pretty quiet, but it's pretty slow. So this is what intrigued me about this printer, One Man Show, is that this printer with the ink is 180 bucks. So it used to cost a lot more than it does now. All right, so can we break this up into individual documents? I can do this one here. Proceed on that one. No, so it doesn't automatically divvy them up. I guess it must be on the PC side, maybe. It doesn't have like an auto detect kind of thing. Yes, but Chris, here's the deal. Very important note in the manual about the bottles, okay? And I'm gonna show you this real quick. And thanks for joining us. It is very important that you follow the directions. And it says here, do not drink the ink. So even though it looks like gummy bears, it doesn't apparently taste like them. And I was not able to drink any of it, but I followed the instructions on that. So yeah, so the deal with this printer, as we get to the end of the stream here, because I got to go deal with the kids upstairs, is that right now it's on sale for $180. So I think that's a good price for it. The quality of the prints seems good for what it is. Issues are the fact that it doesn't work with the Mac without drivers. It does work with the Mac, but you got to put drivers in first. And it doesn't work with the Chromebook, but it does work with Windows. So there you go. The EcoTank. I think if you are a high volume printing person, it will save you a lot of money. The 4 bottles, which should last you, I would say you probably will get several thousand pages if you're doing light coverage. So for example, this is not light coverage because you're covering a good chunk of the page with ink. But something like this is less coverage because is less ink on the page. So, you probably would get in the 5,000 or 6,000 page range with this kind of, if you're printing out a lot of documentation stuff. And the replacement cost on the ink is minimal. And you can see when it's almost time because you can actually see how much ink you have. So it's interesting. Yeah, there's no manual feed slot, but the whole printer kind of is a manual feed because you can stick it in the back there. But that does create an issue, yes, for cabinets and stuff. Does the printer? Oh, I have a lot of fond memories of dealing with Prop 65 warnings. Let's take a look and see if it's on the box. I'm sure it's on it somewhere, because I'm sure the very diligent attorney in California that's made a career out of suing people over these Prop 65 warnings is... Yeah, I don't see it here. It's got to be somewhere on the box. Oop, as everything falls out of my box. Yeah, I don't see a Prop 65 warning, but I'm sure it's on here somewhere. There's a lot of fine print everywhere. I mean, it's like you almost have to put it on there because it's, you know what? It may have been under the shipping label. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, I'm just looking on the back here. In California, they had a referendum to declare certain chemicals as carcinogenic, even though it doesn't have to, if the state declares it as carcinogenic, then it is. And then the enforcement of the law is, and so any plastic that meets this criteria has to have a warning label on it. And that includes straws at a restaurant, it's crazy. But the law is not enforced by the government, it is enforced by civil actions, where any enterprising attorney can sue anybody else for not putting the label on their product there. So, and that's it. Just to be safe, you put it on whether you need it or not. Yeah, you know what? They didn't have a warning about that. So, and I did take a bite out of the power cord earlier and got shocked, and I'm going to sue them now. But yeah, some of it's kind of crazy. And it doesn't really... the research that determines whether or not this stuff is dangerous is questionable to some degree too. So, funny story on power cords though. So I was out somewhere and there was a group of people meeting where I was at, and somebody brought their dog with them, and they were meeting in a room where they had the meeting owl thing in this conference room. Kid you not, I'm sitting outside in a different room working on something else. The dog chews, not my dog, somebody else's, chews through the power cord on the meeting owl and electrocutes itself. Didn't kill the dog, thank God. But, oh my God, that was, really? And it wasn't like a puppy. The dog was not young, it should have known better. But I don't think it's ever going to bite a power cord again. It learned its lesson, so. All right, well, I've got enough to hopefully get this done tomorrow. So I want to thank you all for spending the better part of 2 hours watching me install a printer. You know, it's funny. I call printers my bread and butter here on the channel because I get, over the long haul, I get the most viewership out of this stuff than anything else I do. I kid you not. Far more views for printers than I get for space launches, which is crazy when you think about that on the surface. But that is the nature of the modern content ecosystem. So there you go. All right. You wonder if my Dunkin' Donuts cup should have a Prop 65 warning. It does say, though, it is extremely hot. That was the result of a big McDonald's lawsuit, that the cup didn't say that it was extremely hot. So therefore, there was a huge settlement over that one. As they say, whatever is not regulated will be litigated. And in California, they regulate it and they litigate it. So there you go. All right, I am heading out. Thank you all for tuning in. I hear children screaming upstairs. I am regretting ending this now, but I got to go up there and keep peace. They're fine. They actually get along very well, my kids. But there's other kids here, too, so there's like a whole group of kids. All right. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, and I hope you enjoy. And I will be, you might see me Thanksgiving night if I am, oh my gosh, what's going on up there? Because I'll be home alone Thanksgiving night, so I will probably do some work down here. And have a great holiday, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.